We sourced the parts, we built the bike, and I finally got to ride my lightweight XC carbon race bike. This thing came in at 21 pounds, 11 ounces, fully loaded as you're seeing it right here. An absolute lightweight machine. And now I finally know what it's like to ride this bike. I had some concerns like the 69-degree head tube angle. I was worried that that was gonna be way too steep of a head tube angle. And also I was concerned about this 3D printed seat. I had no idea how this was gonna work, how it was gonna feel, or if it was actually gonna stay together. Well, I'm done riding it. The bike is dusty and dirty, and I've got my final conclusions on what I think of this bike overall. Let's go ahead and check out some of the footage from my very first ride on this and talk about what I like and what I don't like. And also, I kind of want to go over, was this bike really worth the price? Because the final price on this bike was absolutely shocking. So first up, my thoughts on the weight of this bike. Yes, it comes in extremely lightweight at 21 pounds, 11 ounces. And let me tell you, you can truly feel that out on the trail. The bike literally wants to go forward with hardly any effort whatsoever. So there is a huge benefit to having a very light bike. However, I do think that if you got this on an extremely rough trail, it would probably be absolutely miserable to ride. Sometimes you want to have just a little bit of weight behind you, and my personal thought is probably the ideal weight for a mountain bike if you're going to be riding mixed trails and using this as your daily or weekly trail riding bike, is you're going to want something that's closer to, say, 28 to 30 pounds. Something that's going to have a little bit of beef behind it. That way it can absorb and track the trail a little bit better. These lightweight bikes tend to want to bounce around a little bit more. And the one thing that I was really surprised with on this is these tires, these Vittoria tires. They gripped really, really well on this XC style trail, but I had to run them at an extremely low pressure. I had them at about 19 PSI and felt like I could drop them down 1 to 2 PSI. These things just feel a little bit tougher in the casing for whatever reason. I'm not sure if it's the wider rim profile on these proven Hunt wheels or if it's just Vittoria tires altogether. I was completely surprised at how well they felt at 19 PSI. I was afraid that there was gonna be a folding feeling whenever I was going down the trail, but these things gripped really well and I actually wanted to lower that pressure just a little bit more. And maybe that has to do with the weight of the bike. Since the bike is extremely light, maybe I could get away with running even lower pressure. I'm not sure. What have you guys experienced? If anybody has a bike that comes in right around 21 pounds, what have you experienced for running tire pressure on your setup? Because I thought 19 was going to be way too low, and it turned out it felt a little bit too high. Now, as far as the bars are concerned, I actually was really, really happy with the way that these bars turned out. They're super comfortable. They have a nice sweep back design. I really like how they look super like XC style with the integrated stem and all of that. I was concerned that these were gonna feel kind of flexible out on the trail, but to my surprise, they felt very stiff, very firm. No issues with flexing, no issues or concerns with them braking on me going down the trail, especially the trail that I was riding. It's a pretty green trail. It's very XC oriented. And these bars did really well. I picked the right amount of reach. That was another concern that I had, that the stem length wasn't gonna be long enough, because I had to make a choice. based off of numbers on paper, not actually having it in front of me. So very concerning whenever I picked this stem length, but what I picked actually worked out really well, and I'm very happy with that. I do like the integrated GPS mount. I didn't actually use it, but it is nice to know that this is built in and it's ready to use whenever I want to use it. However, there is a way you can mount like a GoPro mount down here. I wouldn't use any standard size GoPro because we're only using one screw on here that takes a 3mm Allen key to tighten it down. So the screw itself is really, really small. Maybe fitting one of the new like DJI Nano, something that's super lightweight, around the 50-60 gram, would probably be just fine to mount on this underneath part here. But a full-size GoPro, I would just be concerned that with a lot of bumps that this would actually pull that screw out. It might be fine, but I don't know that I would take the chance. One thing I do want to talk about are these little holes right here. Going down the trail, these started whistling. Check this out. This is what this sounds like while I'm going down the trail. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. So what I think I'm gonna do is either get a little piece of foam and stick right in there to fill in this little tiny hole, or I'm just gonna take some electrical tape and tape over the holes right there, because when that wind just catches it, it whistles like somebody's blowing on a jug. Yeah, it's that is definitely something that whenever you buy like a really high-end bike, that they probably test for annoying things like that, where in this particular instance, this brand obviously didn't stick these in any kind of wind tunnel to see how this would actually sound. So just take note, if you pick this up, these bars have a tendency of whistling while you go down the trail. Next up, let's talk about this 3D printed seat. Overall, the comfort level on this seat was right about where I thought it would be. Kind of felt like a road bike seat. Very thin with a little bit of squish, but super lightweight with carbon fiber rails, a carbon fiber shell, and then a 3D printed top. Looks absolutely amazing. However, this material is very sticky. And so I wear baggy mountain bike shorts, and every time I would sit on it, my shorts would get caught just a little bit. And so it was almost like, if you've ever seen that stuff that you can put inside cabinets to kind of like protect the cabinet itself, that kind of has this texture, that's what it gripped like. So if you ever have used that stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to get that last plate out of the cabinet and it wants to pull that liner out with it. This is what it feels like. I almost feel like this needs to be some sort of like slick material instead of it being grippy. With your hand right here, it does seem like it would be slick, but whenever you get fabric on this, it definitely sticks to it. Now, if I was wearing Lycra and wearing like a full XC race kit, then maybe it would be a little bit smoother to sit on this seat. But I always wear baggy shorts whenever I mountain bike. I just feel more comfortable in that. It's just a little bit more casual and more my style. But yeah, this seat, I don't think I would buy it again because of how much you stick to it. I'd probably stick with like a WTB, I believe it's the Rocket or the Volt seat. Those are right now my favorite seats. One of them is like 60 bucks and the other one's like 100. They're pretty close. I believe the Rocket's the more expensive one. I think it weighs just a little bit less. They're more comfortable than this seat. They weigh a little bit more than this seat. In the big scheme of things, comfort does play a big part in overall riding. Now, when it comes to the overall build of this bike, like just holding this bike and riding this bike, it's amazing how light this bike actually is. But the other thing is it's amazing how quiet it is, minus the whistling that I got from these front handlebars. This thing was extremely quiet going down the trail. Now, there is a lot going on here. We do have really high-end carbon wheels. So these are gonna be rock solid with carbon spokes, very, very true and tensioned properly. And then of course you do have the SRAM GX rear derailleur. This thing is just a beast of a derailleur. It's absolutely rock solid, no issues at all. One thing I was surprised with is the cassette. The cassette worked really, really well. I didn't have any major shifting issues. I am gonna have to make some slight adjustments, but overall, for as little adjustments as I've done to this, that is working really well so far. But it's gonna be one of those things, this chain and this cassette, will it stand the test of time, or should I have just gone with the SRAM setup through and through? The SRAM crankset and the SRAM bottom bracket worked perfectly. No creaking, no noises, absolutely smooth. This carbon fiber is fantastic. Got a heck of a deal on that at $170 and then $202, I think, with the press fit bottom bracket. Really, really nice, super impressed. Overall, the drivetrain just performed exactly like I would expect it to. And you just never know, whenever you get a generic chain and a generic cassette, how is it gonna actually work all together? And so far, it worked really well. Now, the RockShox SID is definitely an entry-level SID fork, and I think if I could have swung it, I would have really liked to have had a flight attendant SID fork, but the reality of it is, I had already spent so much money on this bike. I already had this laying around. There really wouldn't have been any huge advantage, but I do think it would have been a little bit smoother and a little bit more lightweight. It would have allowed me to run a 160 millimeter front disc instead of a 180. So I could have shed a little bit of weight there too. But overall, I think this SID Select is definitely high quality. And I think that if you're going to be building a bike like this, that's one way you can save literally $700 over the flight attendant. This fork runs about $650 to $750. And to get the flight attendant one, it's about $1,400. You can go up to the SID Select, I think it's the Ultimate, which would be much better than this, has a better damper in it, and I believe a few other things. And that one I believe runs around $800. So that might be a worthwhile upgrade overall. So the question is this bike actually fast, or is it just a lightweight mountain bike? So on the trail that I was on, there's a segment that I've ridden several of the XC style bikes in my search for my dream XC race bike. And I wanted to see how I would fare on that actual segment. I'm not in my best shape that I've ever been, so I had a lot going up against me, but I decided after a 10-mile ride that I was gonna give it my all and see if I could actually even rank in the top 3 of my best times. Well, let's go ahead, let's watch the footage of me riding that trail segment and then see if I actually come out and beat my overall time or if I don't even get close. All right, doing a little race loop, seeing how hard I can. All right, so I'll do a little bit of voiceover on this particular section. This trail system is actually called Valhalla at my local Fellows Lake trail system. So if you come to Springfield, Missouri, and you want to take on this loop, you can do that. I had a little mess up right here at the beginning. My pedals weren't tightened quite properly. I actually need to crank them down a little bit more. And my foot slipped out and almost went OTB, but luckily I was able to hang on to it. And that was kind of a good test of the actual bars being strong, because literally all my weight pushed on the bars really hard in that moment. Didn't look like much on video, but it felt like a pretty big slip up. So if you look at the charts that I've got listed below, you'll see the one on the bottom left. It actually shows kind of like a shadowy like elevation change there. So you can see the first half of it has a few ups, not a lot. There's not a ton of elevation change on this particular course, to be honest with you. This course is very flat, very fast, and super fun for this style of biking. If you just want to try to max out your speed, going really fast on smooth trails, this trail is all about that. You're not going to get anything super technical here, but as you can see, there are 2 little kind of teardrop type shapes over on the map on the right hand side, and the one that is the brighter color, it actually is the current ride, and the darker color one is my previous best time, and that was set back in 2023. So it has been quite a while, and I'm pretty sure that I set that time whenever I was in peak fitness for the BT Epic race. And at the beginning of this ride, you could see the darker color was actually slightly ahead, but at this particular point, this is where the trail starts to get relatively quick because we start to go downhill a little bit more. I'm catching up on my current ride to my previous ride. And this section is just a ton of fun. Like, it doesn't look like much downhill visually, but whenever you're there, this is just a super fast straight with slight curves in it. Really, really fun. In fact, even the squirrels like it, because I almost run over 2 squirrels up here at the at this downhill section. So a lot of fun. Again, no technical stuff on this trail, so you can really fly super fast. There was one of those squirrels, and I think there's the other one. They were on a mission that day to collect all the walnuts, I guess, in the woods. But as you can see, I am pulling away, and if you look at the chart on the left where the elevation is, you'll see a flat line, and then you'll see a line that is slowly going up. That line to me indicates how much I'm separating myself from the other previous ride, I believe. And you can see it just kind of slowly, gradually leaving the other one. And you can also look at the map and you can see I'm really pulling away. And I believe this last effort was on my Marin Team 2, where I put the proven carbon wheels on. So the same wheels I'm riding in this video, I had on that bike. And that bike was very fast with those wheels. And I felt very confident on it at the time that I was riding. So to be ahead at this point is pretty awesome. And this particular route isn't very long. I think it's like 1.5 miles. So it's really good to test pushing yourself as hard as you possibly can. This next couple of sections up here, I will run into some like not quite 90-degree turns, but maybe a little bit less. And yeah, this is looking really good for this particular bike because I'm really flying down the course. And I had no idea what my time was because I was actually tracking this on my Apple Watch and I couldn't look at it. I didn't have my GPS out in front of me. That might have been kind of fun to add the segment with my previous best time and actually race it that way and know how far I am ahead. But I knew at this particular moment that it was either now or never. I figured I was pretty close to my best time. And this is the last push of this particular ride. So yeah, we'll see how I finish out, but it's looking good for the Project Ultralight bike right now.
Yeah? It's quick. Did it rip?
Yeah.
Holy freak. That was like 7 minutes. I think my chest is gonna explode.
So there you go, guys. I can't believe it. I beat my overall PR that I have ever set out there on this bike, not even in my peak performance. So what this bike could do for me whenever I'm actually in my top fitness shape, it's pretty incredible. But with that said, I want to thank you guys for watching this entire series. This was such a fun build to do, and I want to leave you guys with the overall total of how much this bike costs. It's actually kind of shocking. All right, guys, get out there and ride your bike.